Well, a couple of weeks ago, we took a look at some really great shade trees for Oklahoma. However, not everyone has room to plant a very large shade tree in their yard, so today we're going to look at some smaller to medium-sized trees. Now again, these are good trees for Oklahoma, and they're drought tolerant, and most of them are resistant to our hot, dry winds. Well, when you think about a good small tree for Oklahoma, most of us instantly think of a redbud tree, and redbuds are definitely a wonderful small tree for the landscape. Now the standard redbud gets anywhere from 20 to 25 feet tall and maybe 10 to 15 feet in width. It's kind of a rounded tree, and sometimes the branches kind of have a drooping effect. So it really makes a very nice, graceful tree for the yard. There is a really good selection for us here in Oklahoma though, and that is the Oklahoma redbud. That's Cercis reniformis, Oklahoma. And here we have one planted in the studio gardens, and there are several things that make this a good tree. Now for the first part, this Oklahoma redbud is the most drought and hot wind tolerant redbud that we have. Also in the spring, you'll notice that it has a very, very dark wine red flower. But as we look here, you can also see a great thing about this tree. The leaves are actually a very shiny and thick consistency, and this makes them resistant to leaf rollers. Now right here I've got a leaf that's off of our forest pansy that's actually planted next to it, and you can see here that we've got leaf roller damage. Now we can find this all over our forest pansy. However, the shininess and the thickness of the leaves on the Oklahoma redbud make it more resistant to leaf rollers. That leaf texture also makes it more resistant to scorch. You can see here as you look at the tree, overall we don't have a lot of scorch, we've just got a little. However, if we look at the forest pansy, you can see that we've got quite a bit of scorch. Now this tree actually likes to be planted in full sun or partial shade, where the forest pansy redbud, while it does have pretty purple foliage in the spring, needs more shade and more protection. So if you're looking for a good drought tolerant and also hot wind resistant redbud, you might try planting the Oklahoma redbud. We've got several other trees that are really good, and for those of you in the western part of the state that would like to plant a maple, you might think about putting in a shantung maple. Now the shantung maple has a nice spreading shape to it, and it can grow to be 25 to 30 feet tall and about 20 to 25 feet wide. It has a nice glossy dark green leaf that has 5 lobes, and when you first look at it, it looks a lot like a sweet gum. However, the leaves are opposite on this tree. The nice thing about the shantung maple too is that it doesn't have the mess of a sweet gum, and this is a very resistant maple to leaf scorch and also to drought. Now this tree takes full sun, and it is tolerant of a wide range of soils and locations. It makes a good urban tree. The fall color on the shantung is generally a yellow to a yellow-orange, and this is something to remember. It's a good reason to shop for your trees in the fall. You can actually buy the tree while it's in fall color so you know what you're getting. Now another great smaller tree for the southern part of the state is the desert willow. It has an upright, almost open shape to it and can grow from 15 to 30 feet tall and 15 to 25 feet wide. It has a moderate growth rate, and that's kind of averaged out because when the tree is young, it grows quite rapidly, but as it gets older, the growth rate slows down. It likes full sun, and in June and July it has beautiful lavender flowers on it. Now this tree doesn't have much fall color because the long, slender gray leaves actually fall off the tree early in the fall, but it does have nice, dark bark on it for the winter. Now the smoke tree is actually somewhat of a shrub-like tree. It is multi-trunked and can get from 10 to 15 feet tall and 10 to 15 feet wide. It's a rapid grower, and it has round leaves that can either be green or purple depending on the cultivar. Now the really great thing about this tree is not necessarily the bloom, but the panicles after the blooms have fallen give the tree a smoke-like look. Well, the last tree that I wanted to talk to you about is the winterberry euonymus. Again, this is a wonderful small tree. It gets anywhere from 12 to 20 feet tall and 10 to 12 feet wide, and you can see here it's got kind of a globe or oval shaped habit to it. Now this tree is very tolerant of poor soils, compacted urban sites, and also tolerant of drought. In fact, a lot of times it's planted as a windbreak or a screen. Now you can see it's got almost a drooping habit to it, and the leaves are a very nice medium green. It's a very nice smooth leaf to it. Now it doesn't have a whole lot of fall color. However, it does have some really great components to it that do last through the winter, and that's the berries that you see here. You can see how they look a lot like a bishop's cap. But what happens is these will actually turn pink to red in the fall as the tree loses its leaves, and these berries really show up on the tree. Now the other thing that's nice about it is if we look back in here, it has beautiful bark, and we could actually limb this tree up and see that it has grayish to almost reddish bark to it, and this red bark coupled with the berries makes a very nice winter accent to the garden. So again, if you're looking for a smaller tree that's drought and abused soil tolerant, you might think about a winterberry euonymus. Well, as I've been talking about these trees and talking about their drought tolerance, do remember that when you first plant a tree, you need to water it. It takes about 3 years for that tree to get established, so watch the water on those at first. However, once they're established, they are very drought tolerant and good choices for Oklahoma.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.